What's this? A mysterious parcel from overseas and far away? Must be Christmas. Robert ShedLog Christmas Special, recorded on Wednesday the 23rd of December 2020. Season's greetings, I'm Robert and welcome to my shed. I thought about Yuletide greetings, but I'm not sure if it's still Yuletide. Anyway, this is a parcel. It arrived today. I've taken off all of the identifying marks, hopefully, and let's take a look inside. Okay, so wrapped in paper, over bubble wrap. Bubble wrap. See if I can open this. Never done an unboxing before, I'm hoping there's a box. Okay, paper wrapped in bubble wrap. Oh, and Australian quality tools. This has come a long way. Colin Clanton. Free 2020 catalogue. Okay, very nice. So, okay, that's that. And bubble wrap. What's the bubble wrap? Bubble wrap and sellotape. Not the most environmentally friendly packaging, but sturdy and robust, and slightly reusable. How much bubble wrap? Is this a box? Is it a box? Is it a box? Is it a box? It is a box. Ah, lovely. Okay, so bubble wrap. Pop that in there. So, simple cardboard box with a label on it saying HMT Gordon and Company, Classic Plane Makers Australia, Dado Plane. Featuring stable hardwood body, brass sole to resist wear, 3/16 of an inch thick tool steel blade hardened to RC 62/64, 60-degree half pitch blade angle, 20-degree blade skew for optimum shaving, removal and fine finish on cross grain work. Mechanical adjustment for depth, stop and nicker. T1 edgeless nicker blade for minimal sharpening. New blade holding mechanism for simple blade adjustment. Manufactured in Australia, some raw materials imported. Okay, so that's there we go. Comes in a box. Box looks very nicely packed with packing peanuts. Again, not very environmentally friendly, but definitely reusable and definitely suitable for the job. Little instruction booklet. I'll read that later. This is a wooden thing. It appears to be nothing more than a block of wood with a little bit of staining on it there. That could be grain, but I think that's stain. Let's see what's smeared on there. No, I don't know what it is. I'll find out, I suppose. It's probably actually a mallet. Okay, so two things. I've got one of these and 6mm dado caution sharp blade. Okay, I'll look at the plane first. Okay, so there's a lot of printed materials, very professional. Ziploc bag, very reusable. Again, plastic, not very environmentally friendly, but very reusable. More bubble wrap. Just to be absolutely sure. If this is damaged now, I'll be a bit upset. Okay, I have a wedge. And this is my first sight close-up of what I believe to be Gidgee wood. This beautiful marbling effect, not unlike the Western the word escapes me. Sausage and buns, so that's a beautiful wood. Oh wow. That. Blimey. Okay, this is a plane. That's a plane. I mean, what else can I say? I was expecting a lot more disassembly, a lot more assembly required, but that's a depth stop adjustment knob to adjust the depth of cut. The knicker adjustment. You can see that. I thought the knickers would be a separate blade that I could have to take out and sharpen, but no, that's already in there. And you can, I don't know if you can see that moving. Put them in to mount. A lot of life on those knickers. It's a very big blade. That will outlast me easily. And yeah, let's take a look at the blade. Caution sharp blade. So remove. Okay, so I have to break the caution sharp blade sticker to get into the bag. It's just a plastic bag. It's not. Appears to be probably low density polyethylene. Well, sticker is sticking to it a bit better than I expect. Maybe high density polyethylene. No, that's solid. Anyway, oh, it's not a bag. It's a little pocket. And there we go. One blade, and they've cunningly put a blob of glue on the end of the blade for transit. So that is certainly well beyond packing requirements of the Royal Mail, but maybe FedEx have different restrictions. So I know how this goes. This goes in here, like this. And then this wedge knocks down with this mallet to get it in position. But before I do that, I need to sharpen it. Okay, so I'm going to have a read of the instructions, and then we'll look at sharpening the thing and setting it up and working, setting it up for work. This is my review of the HMT Gordon and Company 6mm Budget Gidgee Dado Plane. The only 6mm dado plane I can find on the market for making 6mm housings, known in some countries as dados. Okay, so I'm at the sharpening station and I'm going to take off this glue. First of all, looks like wood glue, comes off very easily. It's a little bit of a, let's show you, a bit of a, if you can see that, a little bit of glue, solid mass, it could be rubber actually. It's the colour of glue, the texture rather. Now looking at this, this is a skew blade with the odd angle to cut at, sharpen at, because it's all not flush. You can see there's a secondary bevel on it already. I'm just going to feel it, test how sharp it is. Okay, that has been sharpened. Now that's going to be an interesting one to maintain. This is not much movement. Okay, so 35 degrees. You can just about see it in the like that, and that's going to go down, meeting the full surface of the plate. I don't know if you can see that. There's no gaps in there. And looking sideways, that is basically flush. So again, I'm hoping you can see the blade protruding out the bottom of this gauge. Just as a tiny bit showing. But you can see the side of the blade is flush with the... Try to get to focus on this height. The side of the blade is perfectly flush with the stone. So that's going to sharpen. That's a very tight angle for my sharpening gauge, so it's going to be interesting. Right. Out of the box it is then. Okay, let's come back round to the bench and try and set it up. So this apparently is a setting block. So what you do is you put that on there. Also you put the blade in first. It only goes in one way around. The protruding bit is a clue to tell which way around to put the blade. Should sit back. Should go flush in, and it should protrude out slightly on the left, apparently. And then put the block of wood in, and I set it on there, put this wood in, and then tap that with presumably with a mallet, which should just hold it in place. And sight down blade and make sure that it's showing for height up because it's required. I tap here. Low, I want to tap here. Not sure what that does. I'm going to try that again. Very mechanical, this. Okay, so I've got it set to... It looks perfectly in line, to be honest. I've got it set to a height of... I'm going to measure it. .35 mil. No, that's moved. That has moved. Okay, I'm going to have a think and come back. Blade falls between the knickers. Otherwise, you get tarred on one side or the other, inevitably. Also, it's critical the guide rail does not move laterally. So, because if the guide rail moves, then your plane blade isn't cutting out where the nicker lines are, and you get tear out. So yeah, it is a precise tool, and because it's a precise tool, it must be set up correctly. So I'm right to do what I'm doing, which is to do test cuts before I take it to the final piece. I just didn't realise I'd need to do quite so many of them. But I think this should be it now. Famous last words. Okay, that last piece cut out fine. Something moved. Still lined up. Where it matters. so the whole thing is moving against the bench, but it's not, the guide isn't moving against the wood, so I should be alright. It's got a tiny bit of tear right at the end there. Well, I'm not entirely sure that wasn't the piece below, but yeah, I felt it locking up at the end. Maybe it wasn't quite pushing out. After a few strokes it pushed on. And I just managed to touch my blade with a knife while I was planing and cut my finger slightly. So I'm going to review that in a moment after I sorted my finger out. Okay, so I did something foolish there. And I reached under the guide to examine the blade, forgetting that the plane was here, and I touched the end of the plane blade as I was pushing it, and it just broke the skin, so minor injury, nothing to worry about, just a tiny cut. Right, let's take a look at this. Oh no, that is surprising. Right, the tear out problem is basically, the tear out problem in the middle is basically gone. These are two beautifully straight lines, beautifully flush walls. Okay, there's a little bit of, you can see the tool marks on them, but there are definitely walls there. Base is perfectly flat as well. There's two tram lines on the sides, as you expect. And the entrance side, there's a tiny bit of tear out just here, but on both sides. I don't know if that will focus. Maybe you have to. But yeah, there's definitely tear out here. You should be able to see that. On the exit side, again, a tiny bit of tear out, and that tear out happened almost right at the end of the cut. It felt like something was like I was cutting it, I felt like it was jamming right at the end, and then I pushed through and it just tore. I also noticed that, well, the exit is fairly straight, the entrance is slightly skewed. So the guideline has moved, which might explain the tear out at the start and the end. Right, so all in all, this plane will do the job. I do need more practice with it, sadly, but the plane is now set up properly. I've proven the plane works because there's a bit of tear out at the start and the end on that particular cut, but there's been cuts without tear out at the start and the end, and there's been cuts where the tear out's been on one side. That's gone now. So I've proven it's a setup problem. I've proven I can fix it. I just need to understand start and end tear out, and then I'm done. To use this in production, well, I've got no other option. I'm going to have to use this on my desk. I have now put marks on it by using it, so I guess this is my plane now. Okay, so I'm getting a bit of tear out at the start of the cut and at the end of the cut, and I don't know why. I suspect it's user error again. I think I'm probably not pulling it back or pushing it forward far enough. I'm going to have some more practice with it. I'm going to come back with a better understanding of it before I start using it on the bench, which is going to, well, on the desk, which is going to be the acid test. But this is so far the most promising way of cutting a 6mm housing that I've found. It's the HMT Gordon Budget 6mm Dado Plane. It cost $375 Australian dollars and $107.95 shipping to the UK, which worked out at around £200, just over. I love the fact that it is made out of brass and gidgee. Gidgee is a beautiful walnut-like wood with just a hint of graining more than walnut has. So it looks like a walnut tool, and it's an Australian hardwood, so there's not much call for it around here, but that's what it looks like. Brass. It's brass. It's not going to warp, it's not going to twist, it's not going to need much in the way of truing up. It does say to check it's flat every year, and if necessary to flatten off the bottom edge, but that's all you really need to do. It doesn't, in fact in the manual it doesn't even say to, it says check the sole, which is this edge here, which is brass, and not the side, which I find interesting, the fence. Adjusting the depth of cut is a right pain on any wooden plane, because you've got a wedge, you've got to remove the wedge, reset the blade, set the wedge again. Remove the wedge means hitting this thing with a hammer that has dented it, has marked it, and then this pulls out down. I don't like it. It feels like I should be able to knock the wedge out, and I can't because of the way it's constructed. The mouth here is quite tight. I do get a bit of swarf cut in it, but for the most part, most of the swarf is going up into the ejection hole here, which is quite nice. Even though I'm going across the grain, if it's going along the grain, I think I'm getting much better use out of this mouth here. Everything is the skew angle. I actually don't notice this being much easier or more difficult than my attempts with the record number 50 plane, which has a flat blade. That could be the wood I'm using, of course, but yeah, I'm happier with it being askew. I was really delighted with how easy it was to assemble and start using. I had visions of having to screw everything together and all the rest of it, but everything pretty much comes as is and is almost ready to go. You just have to set your depth stop, set your depth of cut, set your depth of cut is the hardest bit. Lateral movement. It protrudes on both sides, which I find very, very odd. And it's also deliberately, the blade doesn't fit square because it's askew, and that really freaks me out because it looks like it's in wrong. In fact, my wedge is upside down. I think my wedge should be the other way up. That might be why I've been having lateral problems. Let's try again. Oh, dearie me. Okay, so I messed that up because I had the skew wrong. Right, okay, so I made a mistake. I had this this wedge heading back to front because it's a skew plane. The wedge has an angle on it on this side, and I had that pointing the wrong way, and that stopped. I think that stopped the blade from sitting properly. Certainly it had lateral movement on it before, and it doesn't now. So I think that was the problem. That's why I was having so much difficulty with setting it up. Okay, so there are user errors.
at play in this video, a lot of them, and there are not tool errors in the plane. I'm absolutely delighted in the quality of this tool. I just need to learn to use it better. So, okay, this plane is fiddly to set up, and it is something I'm going to need to practice with before I use it properly, because it's so easy to not put it back far enough to score the lines. You just put it right the way back to start so that the score runs before the blade. If you put it back halfway, you get a bit where the scorer isn't scoring and the blade doesn't cut. Setup is also really fiddly with any wooden plane, because you have to put the blade in wedged in the right place and then keep adjusting it until you get a reasonable depth of cut. Now, depth of cut isn't critical. I'm used to depth of cut adjustment knobs. You turn it and it moves or retracts the blade. I much prefer that arrangement to this wedge arrangement. I don't understand what's the only advantage of wedge arrangement is they're easier to make. But this is supposedly a budget plane. I don't see what's so budget about it. I mean, Gidgee wood is not. It's Australian hardwood. I don't know what it's like in Australia, but certainly I wouldn't go to it as a go-to choice for a budget cut. Frankly, it's not a budget price either. £200 delivered to the UK, that's way more than I wanted to spend. But it is a high quality tool, it is well made. It will last a lifetime. There is so much length on the scorers, it's like a couple of centimetres almost. Well, at least a full centimetre of height on the scorers, and that is going to be enough to outlast me, given how rarely you need to do much with them. Intuitively, I think the blades are the wrong way around. They're clockwise with the plane the wrong way up to drop the adjuster, the scorer and the depth of cut adjuster down, and anti-clockwise pull it up, and that just feels backwards to me. The depth of cut adjuster, by the way, goes right into the body. It's slightly recessed in there, which means you can use the whole body as a depth cut adjuster without removing the depth cut adjuster, which is a really nice feature. All in all, if you want to cut 6mm housings, you want this plane. There isn't a better plane out there. I've looked. That's all for ShedLog this week, and possibly this year. So, have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm off to read the tool catalogue. Ta-ta! Introduction. A plane is designed to plane a dado trench a certain width across the grain in order to house a piece of wood and create a furniture carcass. It also plane trenches along the grain. It is designed to be used in conjunction with a simple guide with position sets lines to play with the intended trench. The third features a nicker which needs to have the grain used across the grain. And just for depth of all, you've got very targets of the plane cutting at a set depth. Setup. That was again use error, my mistake. This is I love this tool. Okay, I'm going to start my review again because that was rubbish.